They say family is everything. From childhood, we are taught a single idea, that family is unconditional, that blood creates an unbreakable bond, that no matter what happens, family is supposed to stay. But here's a question people rarely ask out loud. What happens when the relationship meant to feel safe is the one that slowly drains you? Across the world, quietly and without announcement, many adults are making a difficult choice. They're stepping back from their families. Not out of rebellion, not out of hatred, but out of necessity. To the outside world, it often looks sudden. A phone call that stops. A visit that never happens again. Silence where routine once lived. And almost immediately, judgment follows. They're ungrateful. They're selfish. They abandon their family. But psychology tells a very different story. Walking away from family is rarely an impulsive decision. It is usually the final step in a long internal process, one shaped by repeated stress, unmet emotional needs, and years of quietly trying to make things work. Most people don't wake up one day and choose distance. They arrive there slowly, after many attempts to explain, after many compromises, after shrinking themselves to maintain peace. This video is not about blame. It's not about villains or victims. It's about understanding why some people reach a point where distance feels like the only way to protect their mental balance. In the next few minutes, we'll explore the psychology behind this decision, how it builds gradually, why it feels confusing from the outside, and why, for some, walking away isn't rejection, but self-preservation. Distance rarely starts with a fight. It starts with a pause, a message you don't send, a call you let ring a little longer than before, a visit you shorten without explaining why. From the outside, nothing looks wrong. You still show up, you still smile, you still say, "I'm fine." But internally, something has shifted. Psychologically, this is how self-protection first appears. Not as rebellion, not as anger, but as awareness. You begin to notice how your body reacts before your mind does. The tension in your chest before family gatherings. The exhaustion after conversations that seem harmless on the surface. The quiet relief you feel when plans are canceled. This is not coldness. It's pattern recognition. The brain learns through repetition. When certain interactions repeatedly create stress, confusion, or self-doubt, the nervous system starts adjusting behavior. You pull back slightly, not to punish anyone, but to breathe. Most people don't wake up wanting distance from family. They arrive there slowly, through accumulated moments, through emotional math that no one else sees. And here's the hook most people miss. Distance doesn't begin because love disappears. It begins because staying the same starts to feel unsafe. And once that realization forms, it doesn't easily go away. Staying is often misunderstood as strength, loyalty, patience, endurance. But psychology tells us something quieter. Staying too long can slowly teach the mind to ignore its own signals. At first, you adjust. You explain things away. You tell yourself it's not that bad, that this is just how families are. But over time, the cost accumulates. You begin to feel tired in ways sleep doesn't fix. Your mood shifts after certain conversations. You replay moments in your head, wondering what you should have said differently. This is not weakness, it's cognitive load. When the mind is constantly monitoring, anticipating, and self-editing, it uses enormous energy. The brain stays alert, even when nothing is happening. And slowly, peace becomes effort. Many people stay because leaving feels wrong, because distance carries guilt, because they don't want to be misunderstood. But here's the hook most people don't expect. The longer you stay in situations that quietly drain you, the harder it becomes to recognize who you are outside of them. You don't lose yourself all at once. You misplace yourself, a little at a time. And by the time you notice, the cost has already been paid. Guilt rarely arrives loudly. It settles in quietly. It sounds reasonable, even responsible. Psychologically, guilt is one of the most powerful regulators of behavior. It keeps people connected long after connection stops feeling safe. You tell yourself you're overthinking, that you're being too sensitive, that family is supposed to be difficult. And guilt reinforces that story. It reminds you of sacrifices made, of expectations inherited, of roles you were praised for fulfilling. The reliable one, the understanding one, the one who doesn't make things harder. Over time, guilt stops being a feeling. It becomes a rule. You measure your choices against how others might react. You rehearse explanations you never give. You stay longer than you want to. You return when your body is asking for rest. This isn't manipulation in the obvious sense. It's conditioning. When love and obligation become tangled, clarity feels selfish. Boundaries feel like betrayal, and distance feels like failure. Here's the hook most people don't talk about. Guilt doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It often means you're doing something unfamiliar. And once you notice that difference, guilt begins to lose its grip. There comes a moment that doesn't feel dramatic. It feels quiet, heavy, certain. It's the moment you realize that staying is no longer an act of love. It's an act of disappearance. Psychologically, this shift doesn't happen overnight. It forms after years of adjusting yourself, lowering expectations, explaining behavior that keeps repeating. You tell yourself loyalty means endurance, that patience will eventually be rewarded, that understanding others matters more than understanding yourself. But slowly, the cost becomes undeniable. You notice how much of your energy goes into managing reactions, how often you edit your words before speaking, how relief only comes when distance appears, even briefly. This is where guilt and grief overlap. You don't stop caring. You don't suddenly feel free. Instead, you grieve something quietly. Not what was lost, but what never arrived. The version of family that felt safe. The conversations that never happened. The support that was always conditional. Here's the hook most people struggle to name. Choosing yourself doesn't feel empowering at first. It feels disloyal. But self-preservation isn't rejection. It's recognition. It's the moment the mind accepts a hard truth. You can care deeply and still choose distance. And once that truth settles, the decision no longer feels cruel. It feels necessary. Walking away does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks quiet. A pause before replying. A boundary held without explanation. A decision made internally, long before anyone else notices. Psychologically, this is where clarity replaces chaos. Not anger, not revenge, just awareness. Many people reach this point after realizing one hard truth. You can care about people and still limit their access to you. You can respect family, friends, or history without sacrificing your mental stability. Distance, in this sense, is not rejection. It is regulation. The mind seeks safety before it seeks connection. And when relationships repeatedly create tension, guilt, or confusion, the nervous system learns to protect itself. That protection often shows up as emotional distance, reduced contact, or a quiet redefining of roles. This choice is rarely sudden. It is the result of pattern recognition, of noticing how you feel before, during, and after interactions, of realizing that peace should not feel like something you earn through endurance. The final shift happens here, when you stop asking, "Why don't they understand me?" and start asking, "What do I need to feel steady?" That question changes everything, because clarity does not demand isolation. It simply asks for honesty, boundaries, and the courage to choose calm over chaos.